Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Good Gamers Podcast 8-Bit Banter. Chris is dead this week, and joining us is the lolly-loving bastard Haze. So, let's talk video games. So, first thing off, to kick us off, is the EVO lineup. Now, a lot of games were announced for the EVO lineup. There's some weird ones, though, right? We've got things like Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, which is always going to be the hype as shit. We've also got Guilty Gear Xrd, which I'm really excited for. Mortal Kombat 10 was announced. That's only going to be out for a month, approximately, before it's even on a tournament scale. So it'll be quite interesting to see that, because that's too early for the meta to really be defined. Tekken 7 is going to have a beta tournament, and the game isn't even fucking finished yet. And that's going to take center stage over other titles that could have been there, like Skullgirls, like BlazBlue, like all these other classic ones that have been pushed aside because, oh, Tekken 7 beta, guys. And it's weird, it's not really well defined how they're going to be there. And because I'm talking to two massive Nintendo faggots that know nothing about fighting games, so let's talk about a party game that's going to be there. Both Super Smash Brothers, Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U and Smash Bros. Melee are going to be center stage fighting games. What are you guys thinking about the fact that there's two Smash Brothers games there on center stage? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, why can't they pick one?
Yeah, it's like having Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 2. There's no fucking reason to do it.
Well, there is a reason to do it. Like, we've had times in the past they had Street Fighter 4, which is, again, on the main stage, and it's been on the main stage every single fucking year. They don't have the Omega mode as well. For the fighting fans that may be watching, there's been no talk about them introducing any of the Omega, because obviously it's insanely imbalanced, but it could be fun for a side tournament or something. But no, like, we've had Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 3 on at the same time, but mechanically they're very different. Not only do you have completely different lineups of characters, but you also have things like parries, and you have, different methods of actually combating. Like, you have focus in 4, you have the parry system in 3. Whereas Melee and the new Smash Brothers games, to me, the only difference is the roster, and also the lack of wave dashing. And I'm not a fan of both of them being there. Both of them being main stage anyway, especially the newest one. But no, like, what are your thoughts then on competitive Smash Brothers? What do you think?
I have no problem with competitive Smash Brothers. It can work if it's balanced enough. But the way I see them doing Smash for the Wii U, I heard, maybe it is Evo that I heard was doing this, but there was a contest that included the Smash Ball, which is an awful idea.
Yeah, that's really bad.
I mean, it's why don't you just have all items on, and everyone gets a lollipop too? I mean, it's retarded. I don't understand why there needs to even be two Smash games. It's pick one. I don't care which one they honestly pick. Because I will say there are good things in Smash for the Wii U and better things in the Melee. But they just pick one. I mean, I don't know why they would decide to have two. It's not needed.
Personally, I think it's rather interesting that they can take a game that's not meant to be competitive and make it competitive anyway. It kind of shows the spirit that some people have, the dedication that they have to these games. That they say, you know what, it's not supposed to be played like this, but we're going to play it like this anyway. And that's what I like about speedrunning. No game is meant to be played like that. They always find these broken-ass ways to play it, and they do it masterfully, and it was never intended from the start, but it just shows it is so impressive what they can take with these games and push a game to its limits. And that is what I do like about Smash Competitive. You're taking a game that isn't competitive, you're making it competitive, you're pushing it to those limits, and you're seeing what you can do with it. And at the end of the day, it's your skill versus their skill. But regardless, it's still like if this was just a Smash Brothers fighting tournament, I could understand. But this is Evo. You get one of those things out of here.
This is the thing, though. Mentioning broken as fuck things, like you said, with the idea of speedrunning. Right now, Super Smash Bros. For Wii U is ultimately broken because of Diddy Kong. Because he's so insanely overpowered, and I mean, Nintendo haven't done a patch to Super Smash Bros. For Wii U since the one they dropped like mid-December, or mid-November, where they nerfed the fuck out of Little Mac and stuff. Now, they really need to fix that in time, because there's been a lot of things, like as Kenton, you were saying, the tournament that they used the Smash Ball for was the official Nintendo tournament that were promoting the newest Smash Brothers game. I remember the hypest moment in that was when the Mega Man did his final Smash, which was fucking amazing. But yeah, I literally lost my shit when I was watching that. And it could work, but the problem with the Smash Brawl is in a competitive environment, it's too much RNG, which is a shame because there should have been a different way to trigger that, like for a competitive play. Now, when it comes though to Smash Bros. For Wii U, Diddy Kong is insane in terms of how overpowered he is. There's no sort of list of banned characters and characters that aren't allowed to come into play and all this sort of bollocks. But it'll be interesting to see, you know, what actually comes of it. Like Melee, the fucking meta of that game is so set in stone that you'll only see a handful of characters ever come up. With Smash Brothers and how big it is, I mean, it's been going to be out for like what, 6 months by the time Evo rolls around, maybe 9 months. So you know, there's enough time for things to change, and it'll be interesting to see, you know, what characters are allowed there. It'll be more fun, I think, to watch than Melee. But I already have Melee there. You know, like, I'd rather have fucking Skullgirls or something like that taking that spot. I'm less annoyed about Smash Brothers for Wii U being there than I am about the Tekken 7 beta tournament, because that's retarded. And the other two games that are on the main stage are Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Killer Instinct. And Killer Instinct KI will be really interesting to see, because by the time Evo rolls around, all of the Season 2 characters will be released. And because of all the balancing and stuff done, it's essentially a different game compared to when it was in Evo last year. So it'll be interesting to see the hypest moments there.
I can't be the only one who's really excited for seeing Tekken 7 there. Just for the fact that I'm hoping to God that like a game-breaking glitch happens and they have to shut down that tournament. Just because it cannot be fixed. It'll be the funniest thing.
I'll be honest, in Tekken 6, a game-breaking glitch was introduced, and that's playing as Bob or Alyssa, because they're broke as fuck. But no, it'll be a very interesting tournament to see, because they always are. Persona 4 Arena Ultimax will be really hype. Me, personally, I'm most looking forward to Guilty Gear Xrd, because I think that'll be... I mean, it's fucking Guilty Gear, and like we haven't seen Guilty Gear in Evo in coming close to 5 years now. What do you guys think of all the things on the roster that are coming up there? What do you think is going to be the highlight then for all the big games there?
Mortal Kombat X.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's just just for the spectacle alone, I feel like that'll be taking the cake. I mean, just have you seen some of the fatalities? I you know, maybe it won't be seen as much as I think it will. But just for how ridiculous that game looks in terms of, like, violence, I kind of want to watch it. You know, I'm always been sort of a casual when it comes to Mortal Kombat, because I really like how they do gore and whatnot. But, yeah, I enjoy the spectacle that they give.
I always just think Mortal Kombat's a bit too... Like, all NetherRealm Studios fighting games are a little bit too slow for me. Like, Injustice, there's a lot of weight and a lot of impact behind every punch and stuff. But it's not the crazy fucking 1,000 combos bullshit that you can pull off in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 or Guilty Gear Xrd and stuff, you know? Like, I don't know, watching that... Like, my favourite one I ever watch of any fighting game is Third Strike, Street Fighter. Because it's just so intensely hype. But... I don't know, like, Mortal Kombat X will only be out for a month before the actual tournament's held. So I think that's one of the most interesting ones in terms of just a meta standpoint, because it's not going to be like the tiers might not been ironed out by then. So it'll be more people still getting a grips with the characters and still getting a grips with matchups. Because a month, even if I don't care how good you are, being there. Yeah, I hate the fact
there. I mean that times.
Yeah,
10,
I'm gonna say that.
I mean, there's gonna be no meta for Tekken 7.
Tekken 7's going to be one of those ones that people are going to watch, even if you. I know Moosh is gonna hate it, and it really shouldn't be there. But at the same time, it's going to be there before it's even released. You're going to have people coming into Evo just to see Tekken. They might not even really care about Evo. You know, it seems a bit odd. Fighting game fan that doesn't care about Evo, but I'm sure they're out there that will just be coming into this because they just want to see what Tekken 7 is going to bring to the table. And it's going to be the same thing as, you know, the Smash Brothers tournament where, you know, who gave a shit about the people doing the Smash Brothers tournament? I didn't give a shit about any of them. I liked the announcers. They were hilarious at times. But I didn't give a shit about the people playing the game. I gave a shit about seeing Smash Brothers for the Wii U for the first fucking time, actually seeing gameplay from it. And I'm sure people are going to be doing that for Tekken.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, I mean, when
it's
comes
interesting
to
when you sorry to say it though, but it's really interesting that you say that there's people that tune in to watch certain things that don't give a shit about Evo, because you pretty much described the Super Smash Bros. Melee and Wii U audience. Like, they pull in massive amounts of people. It's honestly one of the reasons why I think they've got 2 slots for them, because they get massive viewerships, and they effectively only stay at the Super Smash Bros. Things. Like, I'll casually switch to it and from it while other fights are going on, because there's like 3 or 4 things going on at once. And they're amazing to watch, don't get me wrong, but it's just not for me. You know, I'm not that sort of guy. So is that for you, Haze, then? You think that Tekken 7 is going to be the best thing to watch?
I think it's going to be the most interesting thing just because people are going to be getting, you know, a real good look at Tekken 7 before they can even play it, and that's going to interest people.
Yeah,
you know, I don't generally watch esports or Evo or anything, and it's solely pretty much for the announcers. I find announcers in esports to be the most boring thing you can meet. Just because you're describing what I'm looking at on a screen, and that's like, no, that's retarded.
You've clearly never seen Evo, have you? It's the announcers
I've seen, like,
are the
bits
hypest
and pieces of Evo, and I've never been interested in what they're saying. Like, that's the thing.
You're joking. Like, you've never seen, you know, like, the announcers lose their shit over stuff. I mean, like, fucking hell, the Galileo and Dogora, the finals of BlazBlue last year, you had the announcers weeping. You know, they're like, this man is a god. This is the birth of a legend. You know, like this is.
I know.
What I tune in for.
I find it like I don't find it that fun. Like, I have to mute it if I'm gonna watch that stuff.
You are a faggot.
Because
Yeah, you are.
I'm pretty dull when it comes to, like, sports and esports and whatnot. Like, I hate announcers. I don't know why. I think I was, like, bludgeoned by an announcer as a kid, and they're just
going back to that Smash tournament.
Hit me with a bat.
Going back to that Smash tournament Nintendo held, all I remember is during the Mega Man Final Smash, those announcers were, oh my god. Like, how could you not like that, Kenton?
I would actually say the Smash tournament was probably the worst in terms of, like, announcers. I don't know, that's just me. I find announcers to be boring.
I find you to be boring.
It's well, you can find me to be boring as much as you want. But no,
Hi there,
I
ladies
need
and
to
gentlemen,
watch
tuning
the
in.
Smash
We are
Wii U
very
just to see what they do. I'm not sorry to our viewers.
We're very sorry for Kenton being exceedingly boring this week. Please let us know in the comments how boring you think he is.
And when Chris comes back, we'll just replace Kenton and me.
No, well, with Smash Wii U, I want to see how it plays out. Because in terms of, like, a competitive Smash, I would say it's the second, behind Melee, of course, in terms of something that could be considered a competitive game. And even though I would say they're fucking up in terms of updates and not saying what's in the updates, and that I'm surprised they're even at EVO because of it. I'm legitimately interested in what the rules are going to be, because it's clearly going to have some differences within it compared to Melee. I don't know, if it'll all be one-on-one or not.
Well, as far as I'm aware of it, it'll probably be one-on-one. It'll probably be one-on-one, like they always, because that's how they do it in Melee. One of the big things that I'm interested in, though, is in terms of, like, stocks and stuff, because usually they do a timed stock match. And they do usually like a 5-stock rule. Probably it's only going to be a 3-stock rule this time, because with the latest Smash Brothers game, I hate the fact that it's not called Smash Brothers 4 or Smash Brothers Scuffle. or something like that, because it's a pain in the ass.
I instantly have better names for the Smash games that came out. Smash Brothers for the 3DS should be Smash Brothers 3D, and then Smash Brothers for the Wii U should be Smash Brothers Universe.
Nah.
There you go. You got your puns within it, too.
For the 3DS, make it Smash Brothers Red and have Red be, R3D. For Smash Brothers on the Wii U, make it Blue BLU. Done.
Or, get this right, Smash Brothers 4. There you go. You instantly know what order the games come out in with that. They did it with Mario Kart, right?
Well, Melee and Brawl are not...
They actually consider Smash Brothers for 3D to be 4 and Wii U to be 5. I don't know why they do, but they do. That's
retarded. But anyway, right? We've talked about this too much. But yeah, like, EVO is going to be held in Las Vegas. It's going to be coming up. I need to get the date. Sorry, Chris. It's coming out July 17th to 19th in Las Vegas. So, it'll all be all over Twitch. If you want to get down there, because it'll be an absolute fucking riot.
Yeah, I probably will watch it. Not just for the Smash, but for, Mortal Kombat and whatnot. Speaking of weird things in terms of, Smash and whatnot, there's a rumor out there for Netflix, and they're having a Legend of Zelda TV show, and it's live action. Now, this is all rumor started by, I believe it was the Washington Post. And I don't know if you guys have heard, but there's an oxymoron in the description, which is a family-friendly Game of Thrones. And I just think of Nintendo having a TV show, and I just think back to those 80s cartoons and sitcoms that they did that all were awful.
Well, excuse me,
Kenton. I like watching. I remember the Mario Brothers sitcom more than anything, because it was half live action, and then they'd jump down a toilet or a sink, and they'd be in the Mushroom Kingdom for some reason. As if that's where your shit goes, I guess. Which is an awful kingdom to be in, and it's falling on you at all times.
No wonder they're constantly doing shrooms. They have to do it to fucking cope.
And it just turned into a cartoon, and I never understood why not just have it a cartoon or whatnot. But they all were flops. The movies that they did were flops. The shows that they did, as much as I like them in a cathartic, campy, ridiculous way, like I like a lot of bad movies, were all flops. So the fact that they're now possibly doing a Netflix show is surprising, and at the same time, I really am excited if it is true. And what I think they meant by Game of Thrones is that it's going to be spread out, because you have Westeros, which is a big country, and you have Hyrule, which is a big country. You could have Link on one side, Zelda on another, Ganondorf doing something else, and Impa, I don't know, masturbating in the castle. I don't really care.
as she does.
Yeah. And I would legitimately be interested in what assets they would take from the games and what assets would be their own thing. And how they would make multiple seasons out of it if, it would just be one season or multiple ones. What do you guys think?
I think they're definitely not going to do Twilight Princess, because if they did Twilight Princess, they would have to bring in Minda, and we all know that is a loaded cannon, because if there is one thing wrong with her, the entire fan base is going to lose their fucking minds.
Yeah, that is exactly how it goes. But for me, personally, it's very interesting in terms of Zelda, because there's obviously, Zelda has had a lot of different time zones, and it's had a lot of different worlds. So we might not even be dealing with Hyrule here. We might have Wind Waker, we might have Twilight Princess, we might have whatever the fuck.
Well, we're not going to have
Wind
Waker,
okay, the Hyrule, but that's
that
like Skyloft Hyrule. Well, it's like saying Skyloft Hyrule. It's chalk and cheese.
Why not have like a Majora's
I think we're going to see something
creative freedom.
No, we're going to have something more along the lines of Ocarina of Time. I guarantee it's going to be on the Ocarina of Time.
Well, yeah, it's the favorite, isn't it? That all the people love and everyone's familiar with.
Yeah, even that IGN fake out April 1st trailer that they did was of
and
Ocarina
there was an Ocarina of Time fan-made movie that I am very ashamed to say I watched it in its entirety.
it's clear. There's a reason why I think it's going to be taken from that angle, and it's because it's the bread and butter of Zelda. Like they basically just take Ocarina of Time and then they add something else into it.
I'll tell you what,
they change it up a little bit from there.
To look at this from a completely different angle, I want you guys to name as many silent protagonists in video games as you can. Go.
Gordon Freeman, Link, which isn't really a silent protagonist.
Shell. As a such Shell. And I don't want to have two vowels in there, but that's all I can really think of off the top of my head.
Baby Mario?
I was going to say Samus,
well,
but
Yoshi
she
doesn't
talks.
talk. He just says Yoshi. That's not talking. That's just making noise.
No, he's saying Yoshi, man.
You've got a lot though. You've got Ryu from the Breath of Fire series. You've got many of them, right? There's a lot of silent protagonists. Samus is one, other than the fact that
Pac-Man.
he does talk in one sort of game. We keep that away.
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man-ish. But
Mega Man.
now tell me, how many silent protagonists do you know in TV series?
None, because it doesn't fucking sell.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
It's a medium that doesn't work with silent protagonists. Therefore, my question: do you think they'd actually have Link in it? And if so, would he be voiced? Because that's a serious thing that would piss off fans massively, especially if we end up pulling another M through it or something like that.
Here's what they're gonna do. They're gonna do the same shit they did in Hyrule Warriors. He's gonna have a fairy. The fairy is going to do his voice acting for him.
Yeah, I was thinking that's the way they go around it.
No, I don't think they're going to do that at all. I think they're going... If Netflix is doing it, I have a feeling they're going to end up taking liberties that Nintendo will give them. And clearly, they're going to have to voice Link. I mean, you just can't have a silent character like Link if he's going to be in it. But they... and I respect them if they're going to have a voice character. It's... Giving Link a personality is going to be the hard part. That's the hard part. Not him actually talking or having the wrong voice, if it's too high or too low.
Let's be honest, Link has spoken in the past, as Haze proved with his "Excuse me, Princess." So, to be honest, I've always heard Link in my head talking in a high-pitched voice. And that's how I always think of him when he explains things like, "What's going on here?" and it all cuts to black when Link obviously talks, because Link isn't a silent protagonist, and that's a completely
well, I mean, just give him
conversation.
Duke's voice actor and 10 out of 10.
Well, I expect there to be a point, and it's got to be this climactic, intense scene. They're running away from Ganondorf's army, and they're scaling some building at some point, and Zelda says, "Be careful, you don't want to fall there," and he turns around and just says, "Excuse me, princess," just out of nowhere. I have a feeling that's something they'll do. They're gonna have they're gonna have as many jokes as they can. I have a feeling.
Well, then again, if this is going to be like Game of Thrones, how do you think they're going to take it more seriously then?
Like a dark and gritty Zelda.
It's going to.
That's not been done before.
It's probably going to be a dramatic comedy, something along that lines. That's my guess, anyway. I can't see it being too serious, and I can't see it being too comedic. It wouldn't work either way, in my opinion.
But Zelda always has been serious and comedic. That's the thing. So,
yeah, that's why I'm saying, it's probably going to be in between.
But, okay, here's a different question for you guys then, right? If, obviously this is still a rumour, but it's on the cards, right? What actors would you like to see reprising certain roles? Who would you want to be Link? Who would you want to be Zelda? Who would you want to be the voice of the Gorons, or some goofy guy in a goofy as fuck rubbery suit pretending to be a Goron? Who would you want?
I know like 3 actors total, so I can't say anything.
Scarlett Johansson as Sheik.
Actually, I want Joe Pesci as Zelda.
Oh my god!
You know what? I can't agree with you more. I think that would be amazing. Joe Pesci. Holy shit.
I want Joe Pesci as everyone.
Yeah, Joe Pesci playing every single character. That would be fantastic.
Yeah. Link, where the fuck are you going?
Where the fuck you going, you elfie-eared motherfucker, you? I think that would be fantastic.
Scarlett Johansson, I would actually want to see as Sheik.
Scarlett Johansson doing a TV show?
She's doing Netflix. That's different. She's doing a Netflix.
Still a TV show.
Yeah, but she would. it's Netflix money. I mean, they'll throw a lot at it if they were to get someone in there, and I don't think if Sheik would be even in there, would be in every episode, if most. But honestly, if they do bring up plot points like, say, Sheik, again, I don't want them to do it as a repeat, like, it's actually Zelda. I want them to, like, fake it out as it, like, it's going to be clearly Zelda, and then it not. Like, it be Ganondorf or something. I think that's the only way you can make that work.
Actually, I now really want to see just kind of a petite Sheik, just, like, take off all the turbans, then there's, like, this hulking 7-foot black guy.
You've
got a Terry Crews there underneath that.
Like with
Old Spice body wash. Other underarm deodorants are available in roll-on capacity.
Well, with Sheik, and this is canon or whatnot. Like the reason why Ganondorf never was able to find Zelda was because Zelda used magic to change her hair and eye color and body type and whatnot.
And also give herself a penis.
That's why, Sheik is very mannish. Yeah, probably.
You're saying that Scarlett Johansson is mannish?
No, I'm saying
I've seen her in the Avengers in a very tight-fitting lycra body outfit, and she's not very mannish. She's very womanly.
No,
I'm
not.
Honest.
Yeah, but
sorry, it's my misogyny talking here, but as a straight man, Kenton, which you aren't.
You're a misogynistic pig.
I can't help it.
I'm
straight.
Me about you.
You can't help it.
let's not get into that, okay? Before I level up, all right? So let's not get into that. So let's shift this along though. But has there been any other details been mentioned about the whole Legend of Zelda thing then, or is it just may or may not be happening?
This is all a rumor started from the Washington Post. I don't think that's been very well known. And personally, when a rumor comes from that high, I kind of believe it. Not always, but and with how media has been recently, I would say it's easy to doubt them. But sometimes, I don't think the Washington Post just had nothing going on that day. Let's make this up. I don't think that's what they chose. It doesn't make any sense for that to be the case.
Well, one of the things to talk about though, gaming media is very cannibalistic. Let's be honest here. I can write an article about, I don't know, the developer of Killer Instincts bought some pink shoes, and that can be on every other major gaming website instantaneously. Bang, 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 bang. That's how quick that it goes. Now, with something like this, even a rumor, everyone else is talking about it. You've got a lot of different other publications mentioning about it. It's still a rumor, guys. Maybe we'll have pie on our face for talking about it now, but there's a reason why I haven't been writing any articles on it, because we want to see it confirmed first. Speaking of something though that has been confirmed, and I'm very excited about, a lot of ex-Rare developers have left Microsoft, and they've created their own studio known as Playtonic Games. They are working on their first title, which is a spiritual successor to the classic platformers of old. And they've got people like Chris Sutherland, Gavin Price, Steve Mays, Stephen Hurst, all these really big, Rare fucking veterans that have been around since the days of Donkey Kong Country. And they are all working together on a new title. Now, what do you guys think about this? What's your opinion on Rare coming back?
I think this is a pretty rare development.
Oh, Jesus.
Fucking hell.
I'm excited, and it's because that teaser picture showed two creatures, and it looked like one was on the back of another. So it instantly tells me that when they say spiritual successor, they basically mean it's Banjo and Kazooie reskinned as something else, which I'm all for. Because if they can't actually have the real Banjo and Kazooie, I'm fine with that.
It is a little bit sad though.
Oh, it is a little sad, and there's apparently some rumor that Banjo and Kazooie 4 is happening, which I have no interest in because of how bad Nuts and Bolts was.
Nuts and Bolts wasn't that bad. I'll be honest.
Nuts and Bolts
it wasn't Banjo and Kazooie. That's
was
my
all
problem
Microsoft's fault.
It
It wasn't the developers. They didn't want to do that. Microsoft pushed their will on them, and that's why that happened.
Yeah, Microsoft.
Allegedly.
No, it's just Microsoft, and now the developers who were working on it probably are gone. I'd rather stick with the devs and not the company. Like that's the point I'm getting at. Like I have no interest in this Banjo-Kazooie sequel at all. You know, if it goes say Steam like all other Microsoft games are going, I'll probably get it. But I have no interest in it because I doubt that it'll be some sort of collectathon like this. What the Playtonic devs are working on. And I love to God like rare collectathon games. You know, Donkey Kong 64 is probably one of my favorite Nintendo 64 games. In general, you know, and it's my favorite Donkey Kong game. At all, like I can't think of one that I like better.
Donkey Kong
Country a lot of
2
people love Donkey Kong
and Donkey Kong Country 1.
A lot of people love Country. I love 64 way more than the Country series. I just do.
But one of the big things to talk about this though, and this is the thing, and I'll be totally honest here. What have Rare done in the last, say... Well, in fact, no, I'm not even going to fucking talk like I'm an X Factor judge and build it up and then answer the question. Like, nothing... Rare's put out nothing really for the last 10 years or so, maybe. Like, we've had Viva Pinata, but they've only solely been working on Kinect Sports titles and avatars for the Microsoft sort of, you know, thing. And we've talked about Rare a couple of times in the podcast and how it's such a sorry state that's like how the mighty have fallen. All I'm going to say is for all the developers and all the Rare veterans that have left to now work on a spiritual successor to their old IPs and stuff like that, fucking good on you guys. Like, it's seriously fucking good on you. And like, the fan base is still rabid for something like Banjo 3. And if they're the guys that are going to sort of, you know, work on and make that sort of thing, then even if, you know, the characters aren't the same, but they're sort of, you know, the Kanjo and Bazooey, then it'll still sell. And I hope that they really do well, because after they've been doing nothing about them fucking Kinect Sports Adventures and all this bullshit, all this shovelware shite that they've been working on in the past, now that they're actually going to have a chance to use their talent properly, hopefully something good comes out of it. I mean, they've got the programmer of Donkey Kong Country, they got the character designer of the guy that did all the original Donkey Kongs and stuff like that, like the modern day look of Donkey Kong still today. He's the guy that made them, those iconic characters. You know, he also did Banjo-Kazooie, and they've got like fucking everyone to make something shit hot in terms of talent. Hopefully that translates to a decent
I will say,
game.
and I think we can all agree here, there is one thing that Rare needs to do, because they can have some awesome tight controls, some nice platforming, some good gameplay, and that's going to be good. That can come out as a great game, but in order for it to truly be a Rare game, I think we can all agree they need that humor, and it needs to be a little bit adult at times, but in a way that it's not apparently adult until you get older, but it needs that classic Rare humor.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I think we'll see the Rare humor. I'm concerned that we won't get the Rare music. Like, just about every single like background music they've done for a game has been stuck in my head for about 10-15 years now.
A lot of that's thanks
life.
to Kirkhope, isn't it, really?
Yeah, and right now, Banjo and Kazooie theme is playing in my head.
This actually reminds me.
Like, this conversation just
This actually reminds me. I was listening to some Perfect Dark music, and someone mentioned that if you added in some farts and tubas, this could be put in Banjo-Kazooie.
It's an interesting way to look at it there.
It actually could.
It's one of the,
probably.
It's one of the things I think, I don't quote me on this, but I think Kirkhope right now is freelance, because he's done a lot of work. He did the soundtrack to Civilization Beyond Earth, and he also did the soundtrack to a couple of, like Facebook games and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see if they take him on, and they probably will, because, you know, I've been watching a couple of like there's like a YouTube series that we really should link to in the bottom of the description. We'll throw it in there. It's by Chris Sevoyer, who's the guy who was the voice and the overall designer of Conker's Bad Fur Day, and they're playing through it. And literally, like, all of the interactions that they have when they're talking about the old days of Rare and stuff, it sounded like they were all at each other's fucking throats and they all hated each other. But that's just how we are in England, you know, because they're all British blokes. And honestly, like, if they can get that environment back and they can get some other talent from, like, old Rare to come back into the fold again, holy shit, like that would be great. That would be, because let's be honest, they've only gone downhill since Microsoft have been in charge of them. Like, Grab by the Ghoulies didn't really have the impact that I was wanting for. Cameo was quite good, and that was intended to be an N64 title. And then, since Cameo and Viva Pinata, we've had nothing. Just nothing at all. And now their IPs are being thrown to people like Double Helix to work on Killer Instinct and shit, which is really fucking disappointing, you know?
Well, I think the problem is, Microsoft doesn't know how to treat their developers. I mean, that's my opinion anyway. The only time I've ever really heard them treat developers with any kind of respect that they deserve is Bungie. And Bungie fought for it.
They were insane.
I think it's sad. Yeah, like I mean, I'm imploring people to look into it because Bungie basically said, yeah, we don't want a typical office space. We want our own section of a building. Not just anybody can get through. We want our own Bungie security guards. We don't want to be disturbed at all the time. We want to be as flexible as we can be, as comfortable as we can be. And Microsoft was like, all right, yeah, sure. And
yeah, we'll bend over backwards for you and your shitty franchise. Sorry, Halo fans. I'm just not a fan. Sorry, Chris.
It just... I'm not sorry. It kind of breaks my heart because every time I see Rare, it's this horrible tragic story. But right now with Platonic, I'm picturing this sequel to some movie, we're getting the band back together, just that kind of thing. And there's gonna be a montage of people joining in, and then there's gonna be just one of the people, either the lead developer of one Banjo or something, who was which actually isn't he in Platonic? No, he's not. The lead developer or the music guy just is really pissed off, and they're like, "Come on," and then they go. I just picture that in terms of what's going to happen.
I have to wonder how much of what happened to Rare with Microsoft is that Microsoft's problem, because don't forget, when Microsoft bought Rare, a lot of the important people in Rare left, and just because you have a company, if all the important people leave, that doesn't mean shit. All you got was a bunch of IPs. You didn't get the talent behind them, and that was Rare's problem. That's Microsoft's problem with Rare. They didn't get the talent behind these IPs. They only got the IPs, and they didn't know what to do with them because, as you can see, Microsoft, they don't make games like Banjo-Kazooie. They don't make games like that. They don't produce games like that, so they really have no idea what to do with these IPs, and the original Rare team isn't involved with Rare, hasn't been for a long time, so Microsoft just doesn't know what to do, and they can't make it, so they just keep pushing it on the back end.
Well, on top of that, they bought Rare because they wanted Donkey Kong, of all things.
That's totally true.
What they thought they were getting.
Yeah, they thought they'd be able to get that because Rare designed the modern day Donkey Kong. That's the entire reason behind the buying.
And they didn't even. Contrary to belief, they did not get any Kong, any of the Kongs whatsoever. Not even Tiny Kong or Lanky Kong. They're all Nintendo characters still. Which a lot of people will say that's why we don't see a Donkey Kong 64 remake. Not really true. I would actually say it's because probably there's Rare symbols and Rare paraphernalia is the best way to put it, scattered throughout that game.
No, the thing is that they are and they aren't owned by Rareware. Dixie Kong is owned by Nintendo, but Tiny Kong is owned by Rare. There's some it's very awkward in terms of ownership. Imagine say you have a divorce of the father and the mother, all right, and you've got 50 kids. And one of them takes 45 of them, and the other one's left with 5. And those 5 don't work on their own. Kiddy Kong, there's a reason why he's dead. And there's loads of things that they're never referenced in anything else.
Tiny Kong is actually owned by Nintendo. She was in Mario Super Sluggers most recently. She is a trophy in the new Super Smash Brothers. And she's actually been a playable character in a few Donkey Kong games that had nothing to do with Rare. That said, her look has been drastically changed, and she's grown up. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I doubt it. But at the same time, I don't know where ownership goes because I think the reason why we don't see Kiddy Kong is because fuck him. He sucks.
Well, yeah, no one cares about him.
No,
Well, like, it's true that
yeah.
there's a reason why all the Kremlins and stuff appear in like later Donkey Kong games, like post Rare, because even though Rare created them, it's owned by Nintendo because it's in a Nintendo game. And like Nintendo, let's be honest, back in the days of the old cartridges and stuff, Nintendo were absolute wankers in terms of ownership and copyright law and X, Y, and Z. Like they used to run around like they fucking owned the place, and because effectively they did. Now they've had to rescind back on a lot of stuff because they're like their own proprietary bullshit. Like everyone has to buy their fucking tiny discs for the GameCube, or everyone has to do this, that, and the other. So it's good that they're starting to sort of get more in line with everyone else for publishers and stuff. But maybe there's a reason why, more so just than the fact that the Wii U isn't selling very well for the quote-unquote core audience, even though there's better games on the Wii U right now than there is any other major console. But there's probably a reason why none of the big core console developers and stuff like that for third parties are jumping to them, more so just than the fact that it's selling. Maybe Nintendo's pushing them out a bit, I think. But it'll be good to see what comes of these guys.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to team up with a console as well. I know they've said they actually want to do Steam Early Access, which I'm all for, honestly. I hate Early Access. Yet at the same time, I am so thriving for a Banjo-Kazooie-esque game that I don't care, and I'm a hypocrite for it.
It's easy to be a hypocrite. It's better to not be a hypocrite and, do it properly. But at the end of the day, I'm fucking against all sorts of bullshit early access and this, that, and the other. Now, we should move on to something quite big. We missed the last week. Sorry about this, guys. But there was a lot of things in the media. We've had the VGA Awards, and they were held back in November. We've recently had the DICE Awards. Now, when it comes to video game award shows, in terms of games that, like, I think when we discuss it and stuff, games that we think are decent or like a mediocre end up winning Game of the Year. And that was Dragon Age Inquisition. And then games that are fan-fucking-tastic don't get any awards whatsoever, but they do get nominations. Now, did you guys actually tune into either of these Game Award shows? The DICE one or
Not
the
at all.
VGAs?
I watched the VGAs. I did not watch the DICE.
I watched them both. To be honest, the less fucking Game Award shows and the more big fucking advertising revenue things where everyone can just push all the new shit that they're making. I mean, like we had the big reveal of the latest Zelda game and in gameplay and stuff like that at the VGAs, and we've had like Uncharted and Uncharted 4 and all these other big games being like shown around there, and that's more of a focus what they have. But one of the things, Haze, that I think will be interesting getting your input on this. In terms of category choices that they had specifically for the VGAs, we don't have enough time in the fucking year to talk about all the bizarre fucking categories the DICE Awards have. But the Video Game Awards, alright, I'm going to ask you your opinion on the category Best Remaster.
That just seems to me like, the fuck are you doing? Like, honestly, the fuck is the point of this? It's not the best game. It's not a best game of anything. It was maybe it was the best game when it was originally made, but that was it. Let it have its awards then. If it's remastered, just let it come out as a remaster, and remember that it's not a new game. It doesn't need to be in these things.
It's bad practice, I think, to encourage it. I'm not saying I don't enjoy remasters, because there are pros and cons, and I don't see any problem with a remaster 10, 20 years later that updates the game graphically and mechanically. But when you make Grand Theft Auto 5, which didn't...
Let's not talk about Grand Theft Auto 5 first, because
okay.
Let's just talk about the actual nominees for this, right? Because this is important. The nominees were Grand Theft Auto 5, Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, The Last of Us Remastered, which was, a year old? The Master Chief Collection, and Tomb Raider The Definitive Edition, which was, again, like a year old from a remaster. Grand Theft Auto was a year old from a remaster. So of remasters, really 3 of those in the category are just modern day ports over. Same thing as the Master Chief Collection, apart from that they redid a bit of Halo 2. And Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire was a total remaster in the new engine, but, you know, they're not exactly reinventing the wheel, but I fucking hate Pokemon, and there's a reason behind that. But yeah, like, Haze, this is one of the things I wanted to ask you personally. When I tell you that of all those games that I've just mentioned there, for a remastering of a title, that Grand Theft Auto 5 won, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't even understand how Grand Theft Auto 5 was a competitor at all. It wasn't remastered, it was just a PC port of it was made, and that's it. It's not a new game. It's not a remastered game. It's the same fucking game that was just released. Just now it's released on a different platform. It's a port. What is it doing here?
All they did was graphically update and add in one feature. That's really all they did.
The first person
I mean,
view.
Yeah, and when the PC Steam comes out next month, I believe, is that going to be a remaster because you have mods in it? Like, no, that's a ridiculous
yeah,
thing.
I have to think.
Since Chris isn't here, I need to be the voice of dissent on that and go, yeah, well, actually, the first-person view completely changes the entirety of the game. Yeah.
Shut up, Chris.
Thank you.
This is a big thing that's kind of getting to me now. If this is a remaster, what are they going to do when, we have the Game of the Year edition this time? Is that going to be a remaster? Is this just going to be an excuse for companies to shovel their shit back into these award shows year after year into another fucking rigged popularity contest where the person who has the most marketing gets the most votes?
Well, I wanna say there were 2 remasters that have come out recently: Grim Fandango, which I've never played, and Fahrenheit, which I've never played. Both are Steam remastered.
I've played them back to back.
Yes, you have. Now you said, and actually I was going to bring this to you, which you said, and this is without spoiling the games for not just me but for anyone watching, that Grim Fandango was really good. And Fahrenheit was shit. Now, originally I thought, it must be a buggy-ass remake. All you said was that they changed nothing, and it's basically a port for Fahrenheit, correct?
Oh, no. The difference is, though, that Fahrenheit was always shit. Like, it's always been a shit game. But the effort going into remaster it was literally just using the original file sizes of the text boxes. Sort of the texture mapping and stuff, and throwing them in there. Same character models, and it still runs in DirectX 9 and has a really awkward wrapper. So anytime you change resolutions, it like shrinks to a small. I mean, I play in 4K, so obviously I'm a minority with this sort of thing. But every time I would change the resolution, and I mean this like every time I press to increase one resolution from the fucking 800 by 600 thing it started me out on, it would go to a small fucking window in DirectX 9 and then open up again full screen every single fucking time. It was a really lazy remaster because it's essentially the old PC version just with better textures. Like, there's no effort in it whatsoever.
Right, and when it comes to like calling GTA 5, which is literally a port, like a remaster, I would say it's on the level of Fahrenheit to some degree, because all it is a graphic update and one extra mechanic thrown in the whole thing. I mean, that's literally it. So, I mean, they, when it comes to the the remake of Halo 1, I would say that it's better in terms of that. And even still, I don't know why this is a category. It shouldn't be a category. There wasn't a category for when Star Wars was remade into a shit version of Han Solo bending his neck in a weird way and Jabba the Hutt being there out of nowhere. I mean, that didn't show up at the Emmys or the Golden Globes for a very good reason, because it was already in theaters. Because that was a re-release of, and I'll be honest, it was a good re-release. Visually, it was a great re-release, because the way they did shading, the way they did lighting was all
We're
changed
going a bit
in the
off
Star
topic
Wars
here.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
going
agree
off
with
topic.
you. I agree with you,
But
though.
it
It's
shouldn't
really
get.
fucking...
It shouldn't be praised. It shouldn't
yeah,
be
it's
praised
a really
by
bad practice.
critics.
It's a really bad practice that we should not be promoting. I mean, at the end of the day, like, we're getting a load of games nowadays on Steam. We've got people like the guys at GOG that are, with old games, they're actually making them work on modern day systems. All that shit I fucking love, right? You can do that all you want. What you don't do, though, is, you know, use the original textures that you had for Fahrenheit, chuck them in the game, and call it a definitive edition with nothing else. No commentary, nothing added to it. Now,
what if people just start doing this like they're, because all they have to do, one of the big problems with these people is when AAA devs usually make a game, it sells really well the first week, then sales drop off, the price drops, but then a week later, they make a re-release, and it's not really, nothing really done to it, but now it's being sold for $60 again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very bad practice that... for some reason, I mean, with the Video Game Awards, or the Game Awards as it's called, the VGAs, a lot of, like, the choices for actual, not only just the categories, but the winners, made me scratch my head. Like, if I get two people to sit down in a room, and I play them the soundtracks to Destiny, and to Transistor, and I ask them, what is the better soundtrack? 99 out of 100 people will say Transistor, because Destiny is the same shit we've heard over and over and over again that just fades in the background. Granted, it does work in the game, but it's not the whole point of the game, and Transistor lost to Destiny. And it for me, a lot of the indie titles were knocked out by the big AAA things that were shit. I mean, let's be fair, Destiny this year was fucking... it was abhorrent.
I told you, it's just a big fucking popularity contest. Whoever has the biggest marketing budget wins these awards. Because it's not... Because look at it from the perspective of these people. A lot of these people, when they go in to vote for things, they're going to see, oh, Bungie, I know what this is. I've played this. I've watched Let's Plays of it. Then they see Transistor, what the fuck is this? And so they just vote for Bungie because that's... I mean, they vote for Destiny because that's what they know.
Well, it was voted by a jury. It wasn't voted by, like, the actual public. That's the thing. This is
how little I know about these things.
It's a jury. So it's basically a jury of peers, right? There's 28 people in international media, right? Which let's not talk about the international media, because stones and glass houses, guys. But it's essentially 28 people from different publications, all vote on what is the best game of the year. Or what's the best independent game? What has the best narrative? Who did the best performance in terms of voice acting and motion capture? All this sorts of shit, right? And I'll be honest, like, the best remaster wasn't the worst category for me. The category called Games for Change is another one that I'm rather worried about.
I'll be honest, before you even explain this, I just have to say, I have no idea what this could possibly be.
I detect a hint of sarcasm.
I have a guess. Is it pretentious crap?
I'm thinking like change like you give a homeless person.
I'll be fair, one of them costs about the same amount that you'd give someone. But no, basically, if I tell you okay, so the title is Games for Change. I'll tell you the nominees for it. Mountain, Never Alone, The Last of Us DLC Left Behind, This War of Mine, and Valiant Hearts The Great War.
Oh, it's talking about cheap-ass games, isn't it?
No, it's talking about games with deep themes and really hard-hitting drama.
I'm gonna say it once for our listeners. The Last of Us is overrated shit. And, I say it in front of Chris, who actually likes it. And I still say it's
not overrated shit. It's overrated
nice...
mediocrity. That's what it is.
No. The only thing it ever did right was animation and character models and voice acting.
That doesn't make something shit. It's mediocrity. That's it.
No, the gameplay
is so dull. The story is so repetitive and boring. I mean, I would never consider this to be one of the great games ever. I would consider it to be one of the more forgettable games.
We just lost like 10 subscribers.
The last decade.
Look, I'll be totally honest here. Like, personally, I don't understand the hype behind The Last of Us. The reasoning behind that is because it's... I mean, I'll be even more honest. I don't understand the hype behind Uncharted. And then people will be saying, oh, but, you know, it's an amazing action explosive game, and you watch a cutscene for, like, 5 minutes, and then after that you're hanging off the edge of a ledge, and then you have to, like, hold a direction on the controller and tap X for another
Press
5
X to
minutes
Jason.
and slowly climb your way up. And then afterwards you'll grab onto something, and then you watch another very small cutscene which builds up drama, and that's it. And The Last of Us was that, with even less gameplay of the Uncharted games, and the gunplay in Uncharted's always been weak. Always been weak.
I've never been a fan of Naughty Dog in general. Every time, like, they did Sleeping Dogs, I believe, too, didn't they?
No, Naughty Dog did. Sleeping Dogs was originally True Crime Hong Kong, but no, they did. Naughty Dog did, and I'll be honest, Naughty Dog had their heyday in the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 era. They did Crash Bandicoot 1 to 3, and they had the Crash Team Racing, which is fantastic.
Moosh, it is time
then afterwards,
for me to just make you so angry that you won't want to be on the internet anymore. It was something I've seen floating around on the 4chan, and it was from the Naughty Dog forums, right? And one...
Is this verifiable proof, Haze? Because we are talking on our podcast.
I'm just talking about what people have been saying. It's nothing against Naughty Dog themselves. It's just people have been saying on the forums, and it's just I want you to get your opinion on these opinions. One person had said, the OP had said that he missed the days when Naughty Dog did things like Jak and Daxter and Crash Bandicoot, and he wishes he could see them again. And the entire thread was filled with replies like, that's childish stuff. They have things like The Last of Us and Uncharted now that's so much better. You're just trying to hold us back, yada yada. How do you feel about this?
I feel terrible. In a nutshell, the best time that Naughty Dog ever had was when they had games like Crash Bandicoot, Crash Team Racing, Jak and Daxter. Because it was all about the gameplay. And it was all about, you know, Jak and Daxter had a decent storyline, but it wasn't the focus. And Uncharted, I'll be totally honest, Uncharted had incredible dialogue. And it was Uncharted 2 was one of the first games in which I could start seeing dialogue in video games becoming believable. I fucking love Legacy of Kain, and I'll never not stop praising that game. But the dialogue in that is so over the top. It's like a Shakespearean play. People don't talk like that. Whereas, you know, it's understandable Uncharted. But gameplay-wise, they have just completely bombed downhill. Like, I'll be totally honest, I think they're taking gaming away from what it's supposed to be. Because they're essentially making movie sequences with little bits of gameplay in the middle of the movie sequences. Granted, they're fucking amazing, well-acted, well-shot, and well-directed movie sequences, but the gameplay, the mechanical input, that thing that you're holding on to and actually, you know, directing, that's the problem. That's not right. It's not like they did with Max Payne, where the gameplay's fantastic and the storyline's shit, but I can put up with the shitty storyline even though I can't fucking skip it half the time because it's optimized like fuck. But, like, you know, it's great to play, and I would replay through Max Payne 3, even though the storyline's bonkers compared to the rest of the series, than I would any Uncharted or Last of Us title or anything like that.
This is actually something I have to give, like, amazing praise. I will never stop praising Silent Hill 2 in particular, but mostly the Silent Hill series, especially the earlier ones, for knowing how to present story via gameplay and not just text and dialogue.
Yeah, it was one of the early examples that managed to do it well. Like, I did an article about how I honestly think video games are telling stories wrong, and I will firmly stand behind that because it's nowhere near showcasing the potential that gaming really has. Like, this War of Mine has a really good engine for storytelling, non-linear storytelling. You know, letting you get attached to characters that may die. That's way more powerful. That's Game of Thrones shit, right? Dwarf Fortress does it as well, but I'll tell you what, right? We've been talking for a while. We might need to start, you know, pulling this together and wrapping this all up. We're talking about gameplay and stuff like that. What games have you guys been playing this week? Kenton, kick us off.
I have. Well, I've been playing. Part of the week I've been playing through the Legacy Collection of Metal Gear Solid. I've been taking a break because I'll binge through like 2 or 3 games, and then take a break. So I'm halfway. I'm about a quarter way through 4, right now, and I'm probably gonna pick that up either today or tomorrow, and start playing it again. And Smash. I've been going through Smash, even though it's not that great as it should be. Just trying to complete it, see all the trophies. Something to do, burn time. That's pretty much it this week for me.
I have been being a pretty predictable faggot, and 2 of the things I've been playing, I've been playing them for a long time, Team Fortress 2 and RuneScape, but the more interesting thing is The Legend of Zelda Minish Cap, which...
All right.
Yep.
The classic. Yeah.
Which I'm really loving that game, and even though I played a demo of it over a decade ago, I never owned it, I've never really played it, and that's rare for me, because I've played almost all of the Zelda games. It's just, Minish Cap is one of, I think, 4 that I haven't played, and for Zelda, 4 is, not a lot of the franchise.
Well, myself, I've been going through... I've literally had to for the site, and for writing some reviews and stuff, I've had to binge play through a load of fucking adventure games. Grim Fandango Remastered, it's fucking brilliant. Remastered shit, but the game is amazing. Like, say what you want about Tim Schafer, and how much dodgy he is at business, and some of the horrible business practices that Double Fine have done with things like Space-Based DF9. Grim Fandango is incredibly well written, and it always will be one of the best games of all time. Fahrenheit, enjoyably goofy, and I also played through fucking Life is Strange Episode 1. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that game. It's shit, I'll be honest. Like, Mads, he's a guy that reviewed it for the site. He genuinely liked it. I thought it was one of the most offensively pretentious titles I've played in fucking years. Like, I don't know American... sorry to all our American audiences and stuff, but I don't know how realistic it is, because if all American art students talk like pretentious cunts that are, like, glorifying the work of some fucking age-old photograph like they know the guy...
Yes, they do.
No, I refuse to believe that American people...
No, they do.
I've met American people. You guys are American people, and you're not as asshole.
You're talking
as
about art
guys.
students. We're not art students.
Like one of the things though, like seriously, like this is a way to describe it to you. The entire fucking game, it just screams, it screams the Tumblr audience. Like, you've got an introverted female main character and stuff, her best friend has her hair dyed blue. All of the baddies in the game and everyone who's effectively evil, bar one character who's just more of a jealous, spiteless cow, are male. Like, you have a father that beats his daughter, well, his stepdaughter, and you have a guy that shoots a girl and stuff. Spoiler alert, but I'm really spoiling you a really shitty game, so I don't give a fuck. And, like... The biggest thing about this is, though, that anytime, like, you can make a decision, you can rewind time, so you don't have to worry about making mistakes. So it's like save scumming, and, like, you know how Game of Thrones does it, where it's like, Lee will remember that. Instead, when you make a choice, it'll go, the main character will go, maybe I should rewind time and make a different choice. And you can just do it again. And, like, the main character, she never fucking shuts up. She narrates about every fucking thing she sees. She's the most... No offense to the girl. She's probably doing the best she can. But she's one of the most boring fucking voice actors I've ever heard in my life. She has the emotional range of Stephen fucking Hawking. And she's about as exciting as a bag of dead rats. She's just fucking boring.
Clearly, you've
to.
never met Stephen Hawking and had a good time with a bag of dead rats.
Well, Stephen Hawking's he's known for being able to talk with a much emotional tone and intonation in his voice. Like, there's a part in the game in which he says, I am so furious right now. That's how she fucking delivers it. I'm more angry at the fact that she's angry, and that's how she speaks about being angry. Fucking, she's the worst character in the world. But at the end of the day, like, you know how let's talk about Telltale. We always talk about fucking Telltale. Telltale released the second episode of Game of Thrones. Played through it, enjoyed it.
How many rainbow hairs?
I need to talk about this. I'm on a roll, right? Game of Thrones was released by Telltale, right? Telltale know how to do episodic games like very well. Their animations are utter shit, and I will always say that. And you know, Life is fucking Strange does better than that. It's like really fluidly animated and has a decent art style enough. But one of the things that Game of Thrones and Telltale know what to do is you do not have the main character narrated every fucking thing they look at as they're walking down. To the point in which, like, the main characters, like, half the time I'd be like looking at something else and the character's still monologuing about something else that she looked at before, but none of it's useful. It's all fluff. It doesn't do anything to actually help and purpose the plot. It's a really awkward... Life is Strange is strange.
So it's
the best way to describe it.
So it's like Castlevania 64 when you would examine things. A comfortable bed. A row of paintings.
No. No. It's... That makes sense, right? Like, instead, it would be like, I wonder how comfy that bed is. I remember how comfortable my bed was back in junior high. Like, my bed was so fucking sweet. By this time, I'm fucking 4 doors down. I'm outside. I'm in the car. I've fucked off. I'm outside of the fucking country at this point. She's still going about this fucking bed, right? She's a fucking nightmarish person. But yeah, that's what I've been playing this week.
So, how many rainbow-haired she-twinks are in it?
We forgot something, guys. We forgot something important.
Which is?
Fuck Ubisoft. There we go.
Let's be honest, right? We should be wrapping it up now, but we've had a bit of a fluff here and there. One of the things, and fair play to Ubisoft for doing this, actually, credit where credit's due. Ubisoft, there was a big problem in which a lot of people bought games on the grey market, which basically means that they bought keys off extra sites for a discount to get games like Assassin's Creed Unity, Far Cry 4 for a cheaper price than they were on Uplay. Ubisoft pulled all their games that they bought those beforehand, and at the end of the day, they're in the right to do that legally. What they didn't have to do was restate all the people that bought those games and give them back to them. Now, let's be honest, because I mean, this is the thing. Imagine I buy a bootleg version of, I don't know, Game of Thrones, the DVD series, right? And then afterwards, you know, like, there's a thing on my fucking... There'll be a thing on my like PS4 where it's like, oh, this video is copied, it's not real. You know, like, the sound will be muted. Like, instead of them just doing that, they actually gave everyone that originally did buy it on those grey markets and stuff, they actually gave them full versions of the game. Credit where credit's due, Ubisoft. Well, good on you, but fix the fucking bugs in Assassin's Creed Unity already, you useless cunts.
What do you think is buggier,
just...
Assassin's Creed Unity or Raven's Cry?
I don't know. I mean, like Raven's Cry is Two Worlds, you know, the guys that made that, and their games cross the so bad it's good territory, whereas, you know, Unity is about as, I don't know, as buggy as fucking Fallout 3 with rad roaches, right? It's just fucking, it's another world, mate. Like,
well,
it's spectacular.
The real question is, which is buggier, Assassin's Creed Unity or a beehive?
Well, yeah. Good one, Kenton. Yeah, well done.
Well, Raven's Cry has a woman pissing into a bush. Yeah! She's just standing up with her clothes on with a piss stream coming out of her crotch into a bush.
Maybe she has a
think that is
installed.
the perfect place to, like, end this.
Yeah, I think that's good. I'll tell you what, we'll get an image of the woman pissing into the bush.
I can do that for you.
Nice and big on the screen. No, just Chris will do that for us, won't you, Chris? Good on you, Chris. Right up there.
Even if you have to do it yourself.
Look how big that is. Have a slow zoom on the piss stream, Chris. Really slow. Maybe play some Barry Manilow MIDI in the background to really set the scene, right? Thanks for your time with the Good Gamers Podcast 8-Bit Banter. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we hope that we will leave you on this very satisfying image. Goodbye.